What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And today, the long-awaited return of a series that I used to do on the channel with some good success is the Versus. So it's a series that I run where I review two players in similar positions, in similar price ranges. Well, sometimes in similar price ranges, sometimes in vastly different price ranges. To give you guys an idea of which player you should go with, which team you should kind of build around a particular player, or is it worth paying up for one player more than another? So that's what this series is really all about. And as you can see on the screen, we do have, and probably saw in the thumbnail and the title, we have the gold Leon Goretzka and the gold Kevin De Bruyne. So I'm quickly going to bring up Footbin here. Footbin is just absolutely the place to go to find out everything you need to know about players. So Kevin De Bruyne at this time is about 70K. When I reviewed him, he was about 95K. Just a really, really well-rounded card, lacking a little bit in the defensive area. But if you want to use him as a center mid, I mean, 89 center mid before a boost. I actually used him with a Hunter. So he was 89 center mid and 91 rated cam. So that is pretty fantastic for a player that's this highly rated and this particular price. Now, I also had Leon Goretzka was the other player that we were comparing, and I apologize for the jingling in the background. My dog Atlas really wants to go out, but I wanted to get this recorded first. This is probably certainly the most well-rounded gold card in the game. One of the most well-rounded cards in the game. Full stop. He's just so versatile, and you can use him in so many ways. And I actually threw a shadow on him, and in a center midfield partnership with De Bruyne. So I was kind of using De Bruyne a little more attacking, and Goretzka a little more defending, but he gets above that 90 mark in both pace and defending, while still having a minimum of 82 on every other stat, which I just think is absolutely crazy. So let me get rid of that for a moment. And I'm actually going to lose my face cam here because you can't actually see the stats at the end. So I'm going to disappear for just a moment. All right. So I've made this kind of chart to compare all of the midfielders I'm going to be comparing in FIFA 22. Now, so far, I just have these two midfielders compared on this sheet. But in addition to that, I have a comprehensive way of tracking stats for every single player. So for this Leon Goretzka, I'm not just telling you, oh, he felt like this, or oh, that one time he banged in a goal, or anything like that. I'm tracking stats from 10 different games in Division Rivals or FUT Champions. No offline games. These are all online competitive games. It's either in Rivals, Division 2 or higher, or in FUT Champions. So these games are legitimate games where there's a high level of competition, and we're going to test if these players work or not. And you can see I track average rating, I track goals and assists, and it's different for every position. I will be coming out with other videos that have to do with other positions. Let me bring my camera back for a second. I don't want you to feel like you're hearing from a disembodied voice. But anyway, it will be different for every position, but this is just the midfielder stat sheet. We're also tracking this year expected goals, as well as shots attempted and shots on target, expected assists, as well as passes attempted and passes completed, dribbles attempted and completed, and for midfielders, we also track tackles and interceptions, right? Because you want your midfielders to really be doing a job both offensively and defensively. It's kind of their role, right? So I also track skills, weak foot work rates, and chemistry style, as well as price at the time. I also track minutes played. So if there's like a rage quit or something like there was here, I do track stats per 90 minutes as well. So you can get an accurate representation of what to expect, for a card in the game. One other thing I do want to talk about is the finisher rating, which I actually made by dividing actual goals by expected goals. Okay, so he actually scored 1 goal. He was expected to score 1.4 goals, giving him a finisher rating of about 0.7. Same thing with expected assists. He actually provided 2 assists. He was expected to provide 6 assists, giving him a provider rating of 0.33. Obviously not great, although when you look at his other stats, 0.75 shots on target is good, but he only had 4 shots on target, so he didn't really have a huge offensive presence, but he was getting involved in the game. 122 passes over 10 games, averaging about 13 passes per game. per 90 minutes, and with a passing rating of 82%, which is not bad. You'd like to have it pushed a little bit higher for your guys that their main role is passing. But his dribbling rating was fantastic, and actually with quite a few dribbles per game. Over 11 dribbles per game, and at least 10 of those being completed for a dribbling rating of 93.2, which is very, very high. I didn't mention this, but I have the result of the game up at the top as well, the score line and the result. So feel free to pause the screen, take a deep dive into this, but I'm going to move on to Kevin De Bruyne now. Now with Kevin De Bruyne, again, have all those kind of similar stats that we're tracking. Actually, I think all of these games were actually tracked, both of them as well. So if you look at his finisher rating, he actually ended up with 2 goals and an expected goals of 1.7. Now, his finisher rating is above 1, which means that he actually scored more goals than he was expected to score. So that means he finished very well. And I think part of that was that Hunter chemistry style on him. It boosted his shooting stats very, very high. So we liked to see that. Of course, every shot he took was on target. Passing percentage was very low, though. That's disappointing. Got involved a lot, 166 total passes. Only completing 123 of them is disappointing. Dribbling rating around 90, still very good, and actually even more involved than Goretzka was. In terms of tackles and interceptions, 2.36 interceptions per game is quite good. I think for a midfielder, a central midfielder, not a defensive midfielder. And again, if you want to look into these games in depth, feel free to do that. He didn't have any crazy standout games. In fact, his best rating was a 7.9. His worst rating was a 6.2, so that was kind of his range there. Actually, let me go back for Goretzka. Best rating was a 7.6, I believe. Lowest rating was a 6.4. So kind of a little more consistent across the board for Goretzka, a little more up and down for De Bruyne. So let's look back at this sheet here. I'll get rid of my face cam again. And compare them. Average rating, 7.1. Finisher rating, the edge goes to De Bruyne, as well as the provider rating. But the passing and dribbling percentages both go right back to Goretzka. He was also a little bit better defensively, I would say, overall, making significantly more tackles than De Bruyne, but not having quite as many interceptions. But that gap is not quite as big. De Bruyne obviously has the 4-star, 5-star, and Goretzka only has that 3-star, 4-star. So let's take a look now. I'm going to play through some highlights, and I'm going to give you my final impressions of the players. So I'm going to play some highlights right now. All right, guys, so here we are. We're back. I'm going to play some highlights in the background so you can kind of see some assists and some goals that each of the players scored. I didn't have a ton of highlights for Goretzka. There was really just kind of one assist at the end, but you can see De Bruyne in action as well. Now, overall, I think both players are fantastic, and really it does come down to if you're looking for someone to kind of provide a little bit more goal-scoring opportunity in your midfield, Kevin De Bruyne is your guy. If you're looking for somebody who's not going to quite have that same offensive presence, but is going to have more of a defensive presence, you're looking more at Leon Goretzka. And I think them working together as a center midfield partnership actually worked out really, really well. I wasn't thrilled with their average ratings only being 7.1. I wish that was a little bit higher. And then there are some concerns about De Bruyne's passing ratings and things like that. But overall, I think they're both very, very good players. If I had to pick one, I think I would pick Goretzka. I know he didn't finish quite as well, but that passing percentage, that dribbling percentage, he feels so good on the ball. He was a little bit better defensively, just more well-rounded. I think I would pick Leon Goretzka to win this episode of Versus. So enjoy these highlights on the way out, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and are excited for the return of the series. I know that I am, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye. Say goodbye to your own life, turn the page.